Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM22 story, The Head Coach, with me, Daniel. We're back today for part 81, and this is pretty decisive, to be honest. We're 7 points clear in the Premier League with 5 games to go, but we've had our first slip up last weekend away against a relegation scrapping side. We go away to Tottenham later in this episode, Arian Kalantari in their armoury, and they're chasing Europe themselves. But before that, our last chance at a cup competition. It's the quarter-final of the Europa Conference against Athletic Bilbao, and it might be deja vu. I think history's repeating itself from the League Cup, and we're not really favourites to get through at the moment. So if you're looking forward to finding out how we get on, what on earth we choose to prioritise, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Safe to say that we're struggling with 2 games a week again. So maybe for the league title, it is better that we go out here. We'll wait and see what happens. But if you want to stay up to date and see how the season finishes, it's sure going to be a dramatic one here. Then please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. If you haven't seen yesterday's Hemel episode yet, I'll put it in the eye above. It is one of those that falls into the must-watch category. But a massive thank you for your support as always. Links to all the other channels and playlists up in the eye above. But let's get going with 2 big games over the space of 3 days. What I've got to do first, as our bank balance has now dipped below what it was the last couple of seasons, that's the effect of Niko Kovac not getting Champions League football. We'll definitely be back there next year, but will we have the title? It looks like some of the others may catch us. If we look at the schedule, see what's been happening since you were last with me, just a few games off camera, but not the greatest of success. You were here for the defeat against Liverpool and the champions' victory against Crystal Palace. We had another one of those against Newcastle. Marcus Rashford, a 93rd minute penalty. And if it wasn't for that goal, it would probably be squeaky bum time at this point. But they gave us one hell of a game and we got another injury. We then beat Norwich comfortably by 4-0. Our old player at Palace, Tyrick Mitchell, helping us out with a late red card for Norwich. We'd already wrapped up the game then. 2 for Yakubu, 1 for Zolis, 1 for Rashford. And then against Bilbao, the Everton game repeated itself. In that one, we were 3-0 up, letting 2 late goals. In this one, we were 3-0 up, letting 2 second-half goals. Rashford with a brace, Agumbi with 1. But Serrano has got them back in it. And going away from home, where we've been dismal in some of the cups this year, I really worry about that game. We were then held 2-2 by Sheffield United, who came back again in the second half after we led. Inacio and a Bruno Fernandes penalty, which was cancelled out a minute later by a wonder strike from one of the Sheffield United attacking stars. And that narrows the gap to 7 with our 2 hardest games of the run-in to come. We've got 3 days between this and Spurs. I don't know how to prioritise my starting 11. I'm kind of looking at it at the moment, risky as it is, and thinking first team today, if we have to rest a few against Spurs, so be it. And in the last 3 games, I'll back us to win. The other teams do drop silly points, and they still have been, it's got to be said. But when you look at the goal scorers, they've got Chelsea and City. And if we look at the run-ins as well, it only takes Chelsea to get on a roll. They get to 90 points, and then we still need 3 wins. So difficult moments ahead potentially. We've bottled everything else. What's to say we won't bottle the league? But we've got the most clean sheets. We've got that defensive record. And that's what we have to cling on to later in the season. But for now, it is a big game in the Europa Conference to come. I didn't think this was going to be a must-win competition later on. I thought we might breeze it. Roma look like they're going to be the opponents in the semi-final if they get through. They're 1-0 up after the away leg in Portugal. But we've got bigger concerns. We've got to get there first. Ibrox is the venue for the final. It would be lovely to get there and play in the UK. But I've got to make squad decisions. We only played 4 days ago. We know this is a massive game for our counterparts. And they've got some great players. They've got Spain's #1, Unai Simon in goal. And they've got lots of young stars too. So let's see what 11 we can put together. And we'll be back in a minute to run through it. And this is the squad that we've gone for. Firstly, look at the injuries again. Meslier and Bavati, 2 cogs in that crucial back 5. Basone, another strong central defender. Agumbi, who scored in the first leg, out too. Sancho is coming back from his long-term injury on the bench, but he's nowhere near fit. And we're struggling a little bit, but the starting 11 isn't too bad, and we'll be hopeful that it can produce the goods today. We've got Kylian Mbappe, who since coming back from injury has not scored for us. So what I'm going to do is use that famous old kick up the backside, say, I've got every faith in you to get back to scoring ways. and hope that he suddenly delivers a hat-trick and match-winning performance. Dahlberg already on his way out in the summer. I think it's Roma he might be going to, actually. It is. But he's playing for us today as we try and qualify for the semi-finals to play against them. Gaia and Bordinelli are the fullbacks with Inacio and Fafana as centre-half. And Ponta and Jalocca in the middle. Jalocca still improving in centre-mid and now becoming a real world-class start. So we'll keep our eyes on him. Yakubu, Fernandes and Zolis the attacking midfield three. Kylian Mbappe up front. But he's a striker who's not scoring. And today, we're going to desperately need him. Thankfully, no away goals or Bilbao would be in an even better position. But 3-2 on aggregate, throwing those goals away late. We saw the effect that can have in a League Cup. Fingers crossed, history won't repeat itself tonight. And there is the Bilbao team. We've got to keep an eye on Serrano, who got the brace against us in the first leg, despite not being a good finisher. The keeper's the skipper, he's a superstar. And we know they're a tough opposition. It looked like we were going to blow them away for half a game, but they showed real character. And when the big moments have come in the Cups this year, we've completely bottled it and done the opposite. So let's get into the second leg here. A full house over in Spain. And hopefully we can cling on because we need to win something this year. And early doors, we're back with a throw-in on the right-hand side. By the corner flag with Gaia. The cross beats everyone. To Bordinelli at the back post. Back to Jalocca and Inacio. Playing some sharp football here. But we need to get that goal and then sit back a bit. As Mbappe to Yakubu. That's wonderful football. That's the start we needed. Yakubu finishes. Mbappe sits in and finds a brilliant through ball. And the goalkeeper's beating it his near post after all the talk. 2 minutes gone. It started very similarly to the last leg. But as we know from that game, it doesn't mean a great deal. As we've got a throw in at right back with Gaia. That's how the last move started. As Yakubu finds Fernandes. And you just wonder how much you can keep flogging these players. Fernandes, what, 36 now? And plenty of others in their 30s too. As Yakubu gets to the byline. Goes back to Amponza. Into Yakubu. To Gaia. Inside to Fernandes. Back to the edge to Jalocca. And the keeper unconvincing again. But he does save it and keep it out. So corner kick. Fernandes will take it. Can he find a man at the back post? It's a big ball up towards Yakubu. Inacio challenges too. But loses out. And Zolis will pick it up on the left wing to Bordinelli. Back to Zolis. It's a lovely little back heel that. Zolis crosses to the back post. Yakubu gets there but it's overhit. And he's out by the wide byline. Goes back to Gaia. His cross is blocked. It's cleared away. And Bilbao under the pump at the minute. They're coming forward with Serrano. We know he's got a threat against us. And he'll be confident as it's through to Vencedor. Gaia chases. Doesn't get there. Dahlberg makes a good save. That's exactly what we needed. Good goalkeeping. Keeps the clean sheet intact at the moment. Artola with the corner to the front post. Alvarez with another great header. And it's saved brilliantly by Dahlberg again, who's becoming the star of the show at the moment. I'd really not like it that way. It'll be a bit too tense if he is. As Inacio heads the second corner away. Sainz picks it up on the right-hand side. Bilbao still keeping possession well. They're starting to come into this game. And I'm starting to panic. The stats are level. We've got the 1-0 lead though. And crucially, we're ahead by 2 on aggregate. As it's a throw-in at left back for the hosts. Keeping possession. Trying to create those chances. If we can catch them out of the back though. That would be ideal as Yakubu nicks it 25 yards out. And Mbappe and Fernandes play a 1-2. It falls for Yakubu just inside the box. Whistles just past the post. Unfortunately, we can't quite double our lead. And we might live to regret it because Bilbao have got a free kick. Perfect angle, 20 yards out. Curled in by Mario Sainz. And with 25 minutes gone, the aggregate lead is back to 1. We could be in trouble here. Please, don't let it happen again. Well, it's calmed down before the break. We've had tons of possession, but it's a very close game at the moment. And Bilbao are still having their chances. And don't forget, we've generally got weaker in the second half and they've come on strong. If they do what they did in the first leg, we'll be out. But if we can get through, if we can get that trophy, it would be a massive difference maker for this club. Just to end the winless streak in all competitions. As Yakubu's up at the back post from a corner. Good double save from Simon. And Roma have taken the lead in the second leg of their tie. So they're almost certainly the semi-final opponents for the winner of this. I've got to make changes at the back because Gaia is shattered. Frimpong on for him. And Ponza's had an awful game. So I'm going to bring on Johnny, who's coming back to fitness. And then Zolis hasn't been great. Fernandes is knackered in the number 10 role. I'm going to go Sancho for Zolis. 25 minutes to go. Please don't let these unfit players cost us. As we've got a free kick right side of the box with Bruno Fernandes. Ignacio down for Johnny. And quite the opposite has happened. One of them's come off the bench and scored an absolutely crucial goal for this football club. 2-1 on the night, 5-3 on aggregate. That gives us a much better chance. If we concede 2 now, it's only extra time. But I'd like to avoid that if possible. 10 minutes remaining. We're controlling the game well. We're looking good. And Johnny has made a crucial impact off the bench. And I think at long last, we're going to overcome a cup hurdle. And it's Roma next. It's not going to get any easier. But Manchester United are into the semi-final. And the competition we saw as a probably must-win at the start of the season is one step closer to happening. Now it's on to Spurs. We can't bottle the title race at the expense of the Europa Conference. Fingers crossed we avoid defeat. That's all I'm asking for. Well, it's fitness test time, and this is big in the Premier League. It looks like Meslier is fit again in goal, and a few others are back and raring to go. Pavati, not so much though. But very quickly first, we talked about missed opportunities this season, in the League Cup in particular. We'll look at the FA Cup as well. Our former club Crystal Palace played a lower league side in Sunderland and reached the final. And we could have been playing them if we'd have got past Liverpool and beaten Chelsea. It makes it a very frustrating day. It does mean Chelsea aren't in league action today. They're playing in the FA Cup semi. But West Ham at the moment are doing us a big favour. We've got them next, but at the moment they're holding City. And that will just about turn it into a 2-horse race rather than a 3. And considering they've won the title 4 years in a row, to not even be able to get to 86 points would be devastating for them. Tottenham, though, are going to be a worthy adversary for us. They want to win. They still want to catch Arsenal. And they've got the star man, who is becoming a star man for them as well, by the way. Arian Kalantari, a player we know very well. 14 goals in 22 league games. We had him at Bristol City many years ago. And what a footballer he has become. He's got even quicker. He's got even more fit. And he's got even more agile. This is going to be very difficult. And if we lose it, after drawing against Sheffield United, it could really start to get a little bit nervy. So let's go and pick our 11 for a big game away from home. Nowhere near a sellout, which is weird at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We'll be back in a moment to go through our 11 for a big game in the Premier League title race. Okay, I've gone for some big calls, and this is what the pressure of a title race does. Firstly, 3 players not quite fully fit. They are Jaloka, Ignacio and Yakubu. Yakubu stays in. We're going to try and get an hour out of him before going for the quick option off the bench. But for the other 2, we've had to bring in Basone and Johnny, who earned his place off the bench in midweek. And on the left, look, I can't get anyone playing. Zolis not working. Rashford struggling with a match load after a long season and playing more games than he expected. So Jadon Sancho, first start after 5 months out. He's had a couple of substitute appearances, and to be fair, he's not really lost his attributes at all, so he looks in pretty good nick. Meslier's back in goal, and there's a fair few changes to this side. But if it works out, if we can get a result, we're very close to the Premier League title. Let's see how many changes it is in full. It's 4. Meslier, Basone, Johnny and Sancho in. Dahlberg, Ignacio, Jaloka and Zolis out. Let's see what Tottenham can do, and whether Arian Kalantari's up front. Well, yes, he is the simple answer. Alongside Odsonne Edouard. They've lost a couple of their others. Benson Cor's on the bench still. They've got Mark Guehi at centre-half. We know he's a good young player. And Elatz Mariba is the skipper in midfield. Alfie Devine alongside Alex Mere in goal. And Roger Schmidt in charge of a side that needs to get into Europe. They're struggling this season. We are the favourites based on the 11. With a couple of players not fit and a few other stars out the team. I'm a little bit worried about this. If we couldn't beat Sheffield United, how on earth's this one going to go under pressure? Let's get through the tunnel interview into the first half. It's not a full house, but it will still be expectant. Hopefully, we don't get blown away. Well, quick news from the other game. Manchester City have taken the lead, so it might be a 3-horse race yet if we continue to bottle things as Guehi comes forward. Down the left, it's been a good start from Spurs. Satio to Mariba. Guehi again, up towards Edouard, who's unmarked. They've got loads of space. Kalantari shoots. It's a great save, Meslier. And Kalantari has still got all the bundles of ability, bundles of physicality. He's still probably my favourite player at a save, even though we only managed him half a year. I can't remember anyone having that much of an impact, bar maybe Tyrese Campbell, as Raul Moro's crossed the flex, I think, off Bordenelli. And it just beats the post into the side netting. as Morrow takes the corner himself to the back stick. Mariba's up. Meslier does well. The fact Yakubu's losing headers already, certainly not a good sign for the 6'6" man. West Ham have equalised at Manchester City. It's 1-1 there. And we've now got a corner with Bruno Fernandes. This could be a decisive few moments as Gaia across the line. What a scrappy goal that is. First header at the back post is misdirected. Gaia keeps it in at the near post and heads it back across goal. Devine tries to slide in to clear, but Bordenelli just about trickles it over the line. An unlikely hero away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's only playing because Pavati's injured, but he might have just scored the goal that wins us the title. Well, Yakubu's struggling for fitness already, and we're not even at half time yet. I don't know why, because his stamina and that isn't that bad, as Amponza plays long downfield in that slightly different central midfield role today, and Mariba gives it away to Mbappe, out to Sancho, finds Bruno Fernandes, to Sancho again. Wouldn't mind a moment of magic from the returning man. Back to Amponza and Johnny. Rare start for him in the league, to Yakubu and Gaia. Yakubu's running off him again, but it's into Amponza, tries to dink Mere. I'm not quite sure what he was doing with that, but the offside flag goes up, and his blushes are spared regardless. As it's a goal kick for Alex Mere. 2 minutes left in the first half, and according to the stats, Spurs have been the slightly better side. We've seen a lot more from us on the counter, as Bruno Fernandes finds Gaia on halfway. Into Fernandes again. Through ball to Yakubu. It's a lovely reverse pass. Oh, it's almost a wonderful finish. Just past the far post. It remains 1-0. And at half-time, in a pretty even game, we're just about edging it as it stands. Let's go and tell the lads to keep this up. We need to get the victory today. And if we hold on, and if Chelsea don't win every game, I'd say we might win the league now. Want to see what the score was in the other game. Spurs have got a free header 6 yards out. It's a great delivery from the free kick, and we don't defend it well. And I think that City game is a final score now, because it was an hour earlier to kick off. 1-1. It's down to 2 teams in the title race. But we cannot afford to blow this, and we have done late on in previous weeks. Let's go and make some subs. We're going to take off the 2 wingers, because Yakubu's knackered, and Sancho, coming back, it hasn't worked. He's not playing that well. So I'm going to bring Zolis on the left. And then is it going to be Rashford or Mbappe that plays off the right? I think we're going to go for Rashford off the right, and Mbappe stays up front. I'll save the last sub 10 more, but probably going to be Amponza off and Hannibal or Agumbi on. You can see from the stats though at the top, Spurs are utterly dominant. Amponza will be replaced by Agumbi as the corner's in from Fernandes. And that goal might be the one. 2 unlikely heroes today. The 2 sub-defenders that are in, Bassone and Bordenelli. And they have scored big goals for Manchester United. Coming into this episode, we're worried, are we going to be able to win anything? Well, now we might have a double on, though Raul Morro's got a corner kick up to the back post. Fofana defends it brilliantly, out to Kalantari on the left. He cuts inside to Mark Guehi, who was making his way back from the corner. Bentancur plays a 1-2 with him, the sub. Satillo chips up to Dwight McNeil. I didn't see his name in the team sheet, I must have missed that one. Gets to the byline, crosses block back to Satillo, Mariba. The skipper finds Bentancur. Out wide towards Morrow, Bordenelli does well. And considering how much of our first 11 is not on the pitch at the moment, this is a wonderful effort as Zolis finds Fernandes. Big switch to Rashford. Can he seal it? Gets to the byline. It's a great cross. No one's there. Zolis crosses again. No, Rashford's up. Hits the post and goes behind. Still 2-0 with 15 to go. But the spaces are opening up at the back. And we're back into stoppage time. 4 minutes of it, we've played 1. Still 2-0. Fernandes just relinquished possession there as Kalantari's in behind from a long goal kick. Jeez, he didn't miss many of them when we were managing him. What a stroke of luck that is for us, because it would have been a grandstand finish. We had the same number of shots. Spurs 1 more on target and slightly more possession. But it doesn't matter. It's Tottenham 0, Manchester United 2. And if my maths are right, we're now just 2 wins out of 4 from the title. Well, Chelsea are going to have to scrap even harder for the league now, because they've bottled it in the FA Cup too. And that's the annoyance. If we'd beaten Liverpool, we could be in the final against our former club now, and I'd fancy us 10 times out of 10 to win that. Let's have a quick look at the inbox though. No more injuries or worries like that. However, if we have a look at the competitions, we are 10 points ahead of Chelsea. They've got a game in hand, but they've got to win everything, and we only need to win 2 out of 4. We've got some winnable home games. We've got Roma in the semi-final of the Europa Conference. And look, for all of the disappointment in the Cups in what's been a very weak English league this year, both in the Premier Division and in the domestic Cups. If we could have taken one trophy at the start of the year, I would have thought the Premier League would be the least likely. So if that's the only one we get, then for me it's a remarkable achievement and I'll certainly take it. Let's have a look at the schedule for when we're going to be back. I think it's fairly obvious. We'll show the second leg of the Roma game in the Europa Conference, and then depending on how other teams are doing and what the points difference is, we'll either show Everton or Burnley at home, either side of it. Hopefully, in one of those, we can wrap up the title. If you're looking forward to finding out and you did enjoy this episode, though, 2 thoroughly professional performances, please do put a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. Please do make sure you see yesterday's Hemel episode in the eye above. There's also links there to the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. We'll be back with this one in a couple of days' time. In the meantime, a season review with Hemel tomorrow. And keep your eyes peeled most evenings for some new shorts on the channel, clips from our live streams and such. But above my head now is yesterday's crazy Hemel video. I hope you enjoy that. And I'll see you in a couple of days' time as we try and get our hands on a trophy.